Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Azabi here, back again with Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Season 1. We are on Episode 9, and in the last session, so the last two episodes, they were both standalone. So, they were self-contained stories revolving around, semi-important people in the world, and then strictly the last episode was sort of a character episode revolving around Motoko, really. You know what I mean? The character development in that episode for her was really good to get into, I feel like, because in the previous episodes we haven't really gotten to know her a lot. It's kind of just like, since episode 1, it's kind of like, well, you're just thrust into the world kind of thing, and it's just going on, you know what I mean? It's not like a slow build-up, it's kind of like you're just kind of thrown into it. So over the course of like these standalone episodes and everything, with the world building, you're getting to know the world, and the character development, you're getting to know the characters as well. Although, that can happen obviously in the complex episodes, but I feel like I really like the standalone ones. Motoko, it's good to get, considering that she is the main sort of protagonist of the show. I know like Section 9 is kind of like a whole unit, works as the protagonist, but it's Motoko is the sort of the head of that, not the actual head, because that would be Aramaki, right? But you get what I mean. She's the face of it, in a way. So it's good to get some development with her, and like how she feels about being a cyborg and being that like in between that was heavily touched upon in the last episode, where she human or she like robot essentially, you know what I mean? Like it's just that question that they throw up in the air. So yeah, that was really cool. I don't know if we're going to be getting into the complex episodes again right now. It's just a thing where we just need to see when we push play. So yeah, that's what we will be doing. So yeah, if you do want to go watch the actual reaction to episode 9, link is in the description below. There'll also be a link to the full length there. If you do want to watch it in full, then the offer is there for you. But yeah, nothing else to really talk about, so we're going to get in episode 9 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 9. Right, well, I have sort of mixed feelings about the episode, because generally I love episodes that can, or I should say I love shows that can have an episode dedicated around one simple it's just a discussion, or something that takes place like in the same area for the entire episode, just dealing with the same sort of characters. And so on one hand, I like that, and the fact that it can just rely on the dialogue between characters, but then on the other hand, it's like it's so I want to put this, it's also like quite irritating how much information is going on, but it's all just like hearsay and rumor. It's basically just a chat room of people discussing their thoughts and what they think is going on with the Laughing Man, and that's all it is. And then you've got like the people who are there looking at people talk about it in the background and just taking information in. And it makes me wonder if there is a person who is the Laughing Man. Is he in there just enjoying the fruits of his labour, kind of just sprout out into the sort of into the wild, and everyone just... Because that could very well be what all this is. It's just a game to the guy. Like, the fact that he doesn't call himself the Laughing Man, but the fact of like that's the name that he was given is, it could be indicative of like the point that he's trying to prove, or the fact of like he just wanted to give the world something to talk over, or what. You see, because that's the thing, is like me discussing this here is exactly the same as what they're doing, because I don't have any real information on what it is. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if there is a link between the original crime and this one that we we had recently. So it's just me debating on what could be and what couldn't be. Like, I don't have any. I mean, I have theories, but it's just me essentially talking about what could be the case. And then, maybe one of my theories just happens to be right. Because after watching them kind of talk about it and stuff in this episode, I think I'm more convinced actually of it being not a person, but a bunch of corporations banded together to increase sales and everything like that. Because that's when they were talking about the stock prices and everything that just went up after, like somebody found the logo inside of a crisp packet, right? And it just so happens that coincides with stock market prices and everything like that. And I mean, it's going around the different places where you've got concerts going on and the logos being being seen there, and it's everywhere. And during the reaction at some point I said propaganda, and that's what it seems like. It's very it's almost like, because it's always in your face, like it's everywhere that you look, it forces society to almost take it in and believe it, so that does go hand in hand with the idea that, or the likelihood that the crime was when there was 39 people or however many it was that were trying to kill the Superintendent General of their own free will, because they believe in a cause that is nothing other than just a simple logo, and that's all. And that there's nothing else really there. Because you can really get into the specifics of conspiracy theories, I suppose, in this kind of, because it works the same, it has the same attributes of something that can be considered a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? You have only so much information, and it can be fucking anything. You know what I mean? The ins and outs, the intricacies of what the hell's going on can be fucking anything. It could be one person. It could be a corporation. It could be a bunch of corporations. It could mean fuck all. You know what I mean? And it's just a ploy for brands to get more money. And you know what I'm specifically after this episode now, because I just had a thought. Relating the complex to the standalone. In the standalone episodes, it always comes back to the end of the end of the standalone episodes, right? And they're interesting, sort of the way that the standalone episodes pan out, because it's very much they'll spend a couple minutes just talking about, or basically wrapping up the reasons why in whatever it is that they're dealing with, right? It'll be Motoko and Bato, maybe Tosuga is there sometimes, and just talking about it, what was, and it'll be cool that if after this whole Laughing Man incident that they do something similar with that, maybe just have an entire episode maybe dedicated to it. But after this, I'm wondering if the end of this investigation for whoever the fucking Laughing Man could be something that is not what we're expecting, in terms of it's a guy who committed a crime. And because his identity is completely anonymous, like for instance, if the guy was just doing it to get people's minds working, or just doing it just to mess with people, give people a reason to go down this like fucking, this wormhole of who's the laughing man, and in the end he can come around and say that it was me and I did it for no reason whatsoever, and then he can just have Motoko and basically all of Section 9 just talking about it, like the reasons why he did it, and have them like on a goose chase for something that never even mattered. I could see them doing something like that, and it would be like, it would be interesting, but it would be a risky story-wise move, because I don't know how. Because you know what I get the feeling from this show is that it's like, it's the journey, right? It's not the final destination, right? It's not the destination that is the interesting part, right? It's the journey of getting, and I guess that relates to like, to most shows really. But I could see there being a case where we get to the end and it wasn't as extravagant as what you thought, but because the show is set up in a way to give you like tiny hints to what could be, but not a lot of hard evidence, so that you could gather so that you could even construct a theory that I can be like, you know what, I am 90% sure that is right. As of right now, I don't have anything. I've got nothing. I've got no idea of what, because I honestly feel like it still could be anything at this point. And how many complex episodes have we had? And I think that I'm getting the feeling that there must be a reason why it's written this way, and that's why I get the feeling that at the end, when we finally figure out what it is, that it's going to be something that you could consider satisfactory for, like, we finally get the answer, and then you realize it, and it's like, that was it. But then the enjoyment of it is sitting around and trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And I think that's what this episode was really talking about, was that everyone's a detective. They're only just people in a chat room talking about what could be and what couldn't be. And I've got sources, and my sources say this, and you know what I mean? I hacked into this place. And they've all got their reasons and like little things that they would consider facts that build up this image of what the Laughing Man actually is. And in a way, I think we as the viewer, at least this is how I feel like we as the viewer were them people. Sitting around a table in a chat room, giving our 2 cents on what it could be. When it's just a societal thing, like it just can be like, it could be absolutely nothing. It could be that, like, it could all stem from a logo. Why is it the guy who is kidnapping, he takes the guy out in front of the news? He knows where the news is happening, right? The only indication that guy that held the gun up and then it ended up running away was the Laughing Man. The only indication is because at some point his face, or at least that news outlet, was covered with a Laughing Man logo. Nobody's to say that guy that was doing it was the Laughing Man. I don't even know if that costume has any indication of anything, other than it was involved in the original incident when the Laughing Man appeared. But there was one guy that was sat around the table that said, there was a rumour going around or something that the Laughing Man logos were placed afterwards, after the fact. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember the Laughing Man logos being imprinted on the weather, because they were talking about that as well. I'm sure when we had Motoko go into the into a memory bank, so she could go back and see it. I can't remember them being there, and they were there before he even showed up with the guy, as well. So it's like the idea that everyone's thinking like it's a pre-hack and the guy who's in the suit is the Laughing Man. I don't know. I don't think so. All I'm thinking is it's corporations using a logo in a random event, a random crime could be, and using it as like publicity, as propaganda. The only thing that obviously falls flat on that is the whole thing of tell the truth, right? I don't know. Obviously, the interesting character was the one that I assume set the whole thing up, because he was talking about obviously, deleting data caches and stuff like that. So he must have been the one like in charge of the chat room and whatever. He was the interesting one because he only set it up and he only ever really talked a couple times. And he was the one that his voice didn't match up with the avatar that he was using, right? So clearly he wants to be what I would consider the most anonymous. He was the one that dragged Motoko into this library room where obviously the costume really was. But that doesn't... But she was still in like that sort of VR world. Like she wasn't taken out into the real world, and so that costume doesn't mean anything. Somebody could have just made that in the program, you know what I mean? So, and the guy getting like pulled out of the room as well, like acting like his mother came in to take him off the, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've got nothing else to really talk about on that. It's just, it was one incident that, basically got this Laughing Man logo on TV for everybody to see, and then ever since then it's just been everywhere. It's like he's an anonymous hero because people have built up this image of him, even though he's never really went out and done anything. Like, by him coming out into the middle of the street with a guy high up in Serrano, right? The head of that Micro Machines company, and pointing a gun to his head and telling him, like, asking him telling him to tell the truth. And that's all people have got to go on. Like, people in their head are like, people don't like corporations anyway. In our world, we always say that corporations are corrupt and fucking everything like that. We always say that. So automatically society, everyone that's just a generic, like, everyday person, has their own opinions on everything, and it's not hard to take, like, it's not hard to just believe that if that was to happen in our world, that people would be out there basically saying, yeah, like stick it to the man kind of thing. Like raise up our fist, because at the end of the day, right? Like human beings are like that. We like to just fucking. We like to feel powerful, and I think that that's all that is. It's to get people riled up, like or on side, because it's us against them kind of thing, you know. Now that obviously punches holes in what I was saying before about it possibly being corporations that do that, because why would they do that to themselves? It's, apart from the fact that it did raise their price, their stocks went up. You know what I mean? So if it was them that did it, they basically, you know, made more people hate corporations even more, like, you know, back the laughing man, everything like that. But in the wake of that, ended up getting more money because of it, and that's what corporations are like. They're all about the money. So yeah, I mean, that's all I've got. Like I said, this episode is one of those where it's just like, I enjoyed it, but it's infuriating because there's no facts there. It's just, this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think. But that's what's good about it as well. So it's just, you know, it's just one of them. But yeah, anyway, that's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord. Actually no, because I changed the Discord. The Discord's not there anymore. Forget about it. it's you know what I mean? That's just in my brain. It's like I go automated when I talk about this bit at the end. But anyway, yeah, so there's the link to the Patreon anyway, so you can get access to shows a week early with the early access tier. That's $5 a month. There's also the $10 a month for the full length, if you do want to watch them in full and not just the 10-minute version. And then there's an exclusive tier for $15 a month where you can pay to see my reactions to movies and things like that when I eventually get round to them. But yeah, anyway, that's all I've got. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.